In my last list video, I talked about 5 Gundams that you wouldn't want to pilot as the average person because of one or more dangerous aspects. So now it's time for the non-Gundam version. Again, the same guidelines apply. This is from the context of the average pilot. All mobile suits are on the list for a different reason, to keep things from getting too repetitive, and I have tried to order them from least dangerous to most dangerous. But first, something that you would want to do. Downloading Raid Shadow Legends, the mobile RPG done right that you might have heard about before. And you might even know that they've been nominated as a finalist for the Google Play's Best of 2019 User's Choice Award. So why not give this amazing free game a shot? With constant updates and over 400 unique champions to collect and customize, there's always something to do. But what about those weak, useless champions that you collect along the way? Well, you simply feed them to your favorites along with some beer to make them even stronger. And if you use my link in the description down below, new players will get 100,000 silver, 2 clan boss keys, 10 mystery shards, and a free awesome champion, the Executioner, to give your adventure a head start. And talking about things that will give you a head start, the first machine on this list, the Tall Geese. Without a doubt, one of the most famous deadly machines. But unlike many other machines on this list, it doesn't have to be. As the granddaddy of all mobile suits in the After-Colony era, the Tall Geese was a fearsome mobile suit with powerful weapons, speed, and agility. In fact, it was too fearsome and was mass-produced as the simplified and much cheaper Leo. The biggest problem with the Tall Geese were the Super Vernier boosters on the shoulders. These allowed the Tall Geese incredible speed and acceleration to the point where weapons simply could not lock onto it.
Why aren't you firing the Noventa cannon?
The enemy's mobile suit is so fast we can't lock onto it.
The downside was that this generated a suicidal 15 Gs for the pilot. To put things into perspective, the record amount of Gs on a roller coaster is 6.3, lasting only a few seconds. Fighter pilots with purpose-made suits to combat G-forces and special training can endure a constant 9 Gs. And finally, testing has shown that an average person can endure 10 G for about a minute and 20 G for less than 10. The key word here being endure. You still have to be able to control the Tall Geese in the meantime. And several test runs during Gundam Wing showed that the full performance of the Super Verniers could put even a veteran pilot out of commission. Still, short speed bursts shouldn't kill you. So if you work out a bit, or a lot, and don't go all Rambo with the Tall Geese, you should be fine piloting this beastly mobile suit. No amount of training will prepare you for the next machine on this list, the schuzrum-gallus. Mobile suits in space come in all types and shapes, but they generally have one thing in common: thrusters to deal with the weightlessness of space. This was not the case for the schuzrum-gallus, a modified version of the Gallus J used by the sleeves. Essentially, this was a stripped-down version of the Gallus J for maximum mobility, and while it does make sense to remove armor in order to achieve this, removing the backpack and all other thrusters does not. Instead, it was forced to rely on AMBAC maneuvering and magnetic anchors that could be easily cut during combat. Once knocked off course by basically anything, all hope would be lost for the pilot, not just making this a dangerous suicide mobile suit, but an impractical one at that. The anime and its related documents seem to suggest that the schuzrum-gallus was designed as is, but the manga version apparently shows that the schuzrum-gallus wasn't ready yet and was even forced to launch against the wishes of its engineer. And for the sake of both the pilot and the engineer, I really hope this is what happened. Because otherwise, I think this might just be the worst space mobile suit other than trying to use a J-type Zaku in space. Another machine that you won't want to be using in space is the Zita, but this thing is on the completely opposite side of the spectrum. The Zita had it all when it competed against the Zaku 1 to become Zeon's next mainstay mobile suit. Great weapons, amazing speed, superb agility, and an incredible generator. The only issue was that it came with an engine that liked to go boom. This meant that the original Zita was shelved and the Zaku 1 won the arms race. But this wasn't the end of the Zita. With the tide of the war turning against Zeon, they threw everything they had into the fight. This included their supposedly new secret weapon that would ensure victory for Zeon, the Zita. But instead of Zeon's savior, the new Zita was little more than a slightly upgraded prototype Zita. And just as the engine of the prototype, the supposed new engine was still prone to overheating, resulting in the same grisly fate for the pilot. No matter how good a machine is, or how good of a pilot you think you are, if it can randomly turn you into a barbecue, I'd suggest staying far away from it. But if you really must pilot a Zita, it is rumored that there is yet another upgraded Zita that managed to completely fix the engine issues by using parts from the Gyan, which would then also mean that M'Quve finally did something good for Zeon. And while with the Zita you're better off piloting the modified version, this was most definitely not the case with the Zaku 2 high mobility type. When you're just looking at the outside, the MS-06R Zaku 2 high mobility type reuse P device looks like an amazing mobile suit with a quite amazing name too. It seems to be based on the extremely high performing Zaku 2 high mobility type R2, but with an even higher emphasis on mobility with thrusters all over the machine. Its weaponry was also nothing short of amazing, with its standard loadout consisting of 3 regular bazookas, a giant bazooka, 2 Zaku machine guns, 3 Sturmfausts, and just in case, a Heat Hawk. The problems begin showing up when you look deeper. First of all, the standard high mobility type R2 was an incredibly difficult machine to use, which is why the initial mass production plans fell through. This alone might have put it on the list, but probably on the lowest spot. What really sets this thing aside is the reuse P device. This was a highly experimental operating system that allowed the pilot's mind to interface with the mobile suit, allowing not just for greater control, but also a significantly shorter learning curve. But at what cost? In order for the system to work at full power, it required the pilot to be a quadruple amputee. While most of the machines on this list had drawbacks that could be overcome, or at least you could convince yourself that you could overcome it, anyone wanting to be the pilot of this thing would have to face the reality of the situation head on. And we're not done just yet with this list. So far, everything on this list has been a physical issue, but it wouldn't be Gundam without some mental issues. And for that, we have the Pale Rider. The Pale Rider was already an excellent high-performance machine by itself, but it came equipped with the Hades system, the successor of the infamous exam system, and it was arguably even worse. First of all, the systems did share many similarities. Just as with the exam-equipped units, the Hades system could give the Pale Rider a short boost in performance by increasing the pilot's reaction speed to that of a new type. And just like the exam system, the Hades system had the bad habit of activating by itself and driving the Pale Rider berserk. And the bad news doesn't end there. The big difference between the exam and the Hades systems was how exactly they achieved this performance boost. While the exam system relied on the captured soul of the new type Marion Welch, the Hades system forcefully overclocked the neurotransmitters of the Pale Rider's pilot, leading to a loss of memory. And there's still more. Once the Hades system kicks in, voluntarily or not, the G-forces exerted by the high-performance Pale Rider could easily kill an average person. So once your Pale Rider goes berserk, good luck. You're gonna need it. And finally, I want to end this video with an honorable mention. The Gym Juggler. This Frankenstein gym has a bit of everything. The ground gym's torso, the gym trainer's double-seater cockpit, the gym command's backpack, the Alex's Chobham armor, and most importantly, balls. The one thing it lacked was performance. This thing was designed to mimic Zeon's new type mobile armors, but since the Federation lagged behind in new type research, they just used what they had. 2 remote-controlled balls slapped onto a gym. And this is what the second pilot was for, by the way. Not only was this solution far from ideal, but the base gym also couldn't move around too much when the balls were flying around, making it the perfect target. In response to this, they simply added the Chobham armor to make it more durable and called it a day. This whole debacle of a mobile suit went about as well as you'd imagine, making this mobile suit not only dangerous for you to pilot, but also for your friend that's helping you out. Of course, development was quickly halted after the Federation forces obtained Zeon's new type research. And that is all for this list of 5 mobile suits that you wouldn't want to pilot as the average person. If you think that I missed something, let me know in the comments down below. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters and Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and I will see you all next time.